Merhaba.
Merhaba. Hi. Hello.
Hello. Şakuma.
Herkese merhaba. Bugün programımızın 5. günü, son günü. Bugün programımıza Ankara'dan Doçent Doktor Sayın Mustafa Sever'in konuşmasıyla başlayacağız. Hepimize kolay gelsin. Herkese merhaba. Bugün programımızın 5. günü, son günü. Bugün programımıza... Buyurun hocam. YouTube'a işte.
Hi everyone. This is the last day of our virtual mobility. Today we will start with a conference by Dr. Mustafa Sever from Ankara University. Soon he will be with us, but we need 3 or 4 minutes to connect. So please forgive us and please wait for 3 or 4 minutes because we are trying to connect him from Ankara, you know, our capital city, Ankara. He will be attending from Ankara and Ankara University. He's a professor at Ankara University. And as far as I know, he will be talking about the education system in Turkey. We are waiting to connect. He just wanted 2 minutes from us because he was going to his office. I think he is ready, he is online. Yes, I think he is ready. We need an approval. Yes,
Mustafa Hocam hoş geldiniz.
Merhabalar, hoş bulduk.
Türkçe mi, İngilizce mi
Hocam, Türkçe mi, İngilizce mi sunacaksınız programa?
İngilizce.
Tamamdır hocam. Hazırsanız başlayalım mı Mustafa Hocam?
Olur.
Sesi az geliyor ben.
Sesiniz biraz az geliyor mu Sayın Hocam?
Şimdi nasıl? İyi mi?
Biraz az geliyor hocam.
Nasıl yapalım? Şöyle yukarıya atsam biraz daha bilgisayarı. İyi mi şimdi?
Daha iyi hocam, evet.
Tamam. Bana bir presentation verirseniz oradan yapacağım. Sunum açacağım.
Okay. Our Professor Dr. Mustafa Sever is ready from Ankara University, so I present Mustafa Hocam. So the stage is yours, Mustafa Hocam.
Thank you. Hello everyone. How are you?
Everything
goes well for you during these pandemic days. So I'm going to present you guys like the Turkish educational system a little bit. and then talk about like where we are in the when we compare Turkey with the other educational systems, especially in comparison with the international exams like TIMSS and PISA, little bit. So I think I'm gonna take half an hour. So did I get the permission for presentation? Okay. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, hocam.
Okay, nice. So before talking about the Turkish educational system, I thought like it will be better to look at the historical education reform and modernization, because the history of Turkish education uh, like very similar to Turkish modernization. We usually tend to start with 1838, 39 with the Tanzimat conscript, Gülhane conscript. It is the part of modernization efforts of Ottoman Empire, because probably you heard that term. Ottomans used to be called as like the sick man of the Europe. So Ottomans lost, like very vast amount of territories in 1699, and then like a century after their big loss, they thought that it's better to follow the paths of the European education system and the European modernization in order to catch up with their life and the like the wealth. So usually we tend to start with the Tanzimat reform efforts, because, as I said, like the Ottomans' efforts of modernization. So in 1848, we founded the first teacher training school in Turkey, but that was just for the males. And the first teacher training schools for women was founded in 1870. Uh, these schools were like primarily opened up to pave a way for a modern education. But the idea behind the modernization of Turkish education, as I said, to catch up the European wealth and military um development or modernization, as I said before. So the first period after the Tanzimat is called the first constitutional period, because like there was a huge wars between Turkey and Russia, and it changed the course of the history for Turks. And we opened up our first university at the beginning of the 20th century. It is Istanbul University. Today is Istanbul University. And the second period is second constitutional period, and there was a declaration of constitution in 1913. So there was also the law of primary education and the primary preschool education in 1914, and those were the first schools for preschool education in 1914, established in different parts of the empire, and in those days that was an empire still. As you can see, then the First World War started, and it was a disaster for the Ottoman Empire and the first steps of the collapse of the period. So and the Ottoman as well. And here comes the declaration of the Republic in 1923, and the first attempts to modernization of education in a different manner, though like a little bit different than the Ottoman empires, because like the political system changed, and many ideas surrounding the political system turned into a little bit different than the Ottoman Empire period. So in 1924, the law of unity of education, and this is the historical moment for Turks, because like the Turkish schools were extremely defragmented, as the religious schools like the community schools, and those were not totally under the control of the state before that. But after 1924, with the law of unity of education, we call it Tevhid-i Tedrisat. Schools were unified and they were taken under the control of the state totally. So in 1934 and 35, we started to educate our kids, girls and boys together, and it was done through a law again, and it what we call it co-education, and it is another historical moment for our education history. And then Second World War. Luckily, we were not affected a lot, especially in comparison to our European friends from the Second World War. But like the Cold War after the Second World War affected us more than the war itself. For example, like we opened up our science high schools in 1963 with the idea of catching up, not catching up, but like there was this idea, and we transferred that idea from the United States, and it was about like how we can overcome like military in the at the level of military when we like compare it with the um, communist countries. So in order to overcome, or in order to uh, become superior to the communist countries, there was an education movement, and we opened up first science high schools in 1962, and that was the beginning of the segregation of schools as well. Like after the science high schools, the opening of science high school, the fragmentation of school types manifest in many level. For example, in 2010, there was almost like 100 different types of schools spread all over the country. So it was really important for us, to catch up the communist states through education, especially through science high schools. But the plan was not went well as it was expected. So we had like military coups almost in every 10 years. In 1960 military coup, and then we had like another military coup in 1981, and the 1981 military coup was also changed the history of education system, because Higher Education Council for the universities established, and then the political discourse surrounding universities has totally changed again, this time, especially in social sciences. So university privilege was lost, etc. So in 2004, we passed to another education philosophy that is called constructivism. And through that educational philosophy, we also divided our education system in a different manners. For example, like in Turkey, we had 3 tiers education system, like primary, secondary, and higher education. But like the before that, our education system is like 5 plus 3 plus 3, and then after the constructivism was integrated into our education system, we changed it to 4 plus 4 plus 4. So now we have still following that path for our education. So this is the general structure of the system, and you can easily, like find this in the reports of Minister of National Education. If you guys want, I can provide you a link where you can, reach these table. It's not significantly different than many educational systems in the world. As I said, it's like a 3-tier system, and starting with the primary education. I mean, like if you accept the pre-primary as another tier, it could be a 4, but still 3. Pre-primary education, kindergarten and nursery schools, and then primary education. As I said, it's like a 4 year. And then we had the second part of the primary education. It's another 4 year. I mean, it's the secondary education we call. And then you can pass through the higher education or lycée through exams if you want. And if you don't want, you can just be located or positioned in higher secondary education system through a central selection. So you can go through vocational and technical secondary education, or you can follow up another path in general secondary education, which we call like the Anatolian high schools now. All of them are named as Anatolian high schools in Turkey. And the next step is higher education. We have a high stake exams for higher education, and it's very competitive. I think this year it's like more than 2.5 million people will enter the exam this year, and the quality education is, as I said, like very competitive in Turkey to get a good job, as but like we still have some problems with these stages, especially passing to the higher education. In higher education system, we have like associated degrees. Those are 2 years. In some countries, it's like a vocational education or the continuum of vocational education, associate degrees, and the regular undergraduate programs. And then if you follow a career in medical, school, then you have to attend school at least 6 years, and then another 4 or 5 years for your mastery or specialization in certain subjects. So this is the general structure of Turkish education system. But I want to talk about a little bit in detail. These are some statistics. As you can see, we have roughly 18.5 million students in our formal education system. And then 7.5 million students in higher education. So total, we have almost like a 25 million students in the system attending schools. And then these are the numbers of teachers in the system. It's 1.2 million teachers, teaching 18.5 million students. When it comes to the students attending private colleges in Turkey or private education, the number is quite okay. I mean, like 1.4 million students are attending the formal, like private education. It is like almost 10-15% of the total population of the students. But after pandemic, I think the number attending the private colleges or private education schools is getting decreased because of the financial situation, and the remote education is pretty much same with the private colleges and the state schools. So there's a huge loss for the private schools in these days. And here is the enrollment rates by educational year and age groups. And as you can see, in 2018 and 2020, 3 years enrollment rates are pretty much same, and we do not have any increase in the age. But like when we look at the increase of the enrollment rates in the age between 14 and 20 years, it was like 85.31 in 2016, and now it is almost 90%, which is a good catch up with the age group. Okay, here is the sex ratio, like the enrollment rates for the sex groups, the gender groups. When we look at the primary school, it is in 99%, and it's 102% for lower secondary school. Upper secondary, it's 94, and then higher education, it's 98.9%. And statistics shows number of schools, students, teachers, and classrooms in private education institutions. I talked about this before. It's 1.4, almost 1.5 million, but I think it's going to be around like 1.1 or 1.2 million next year when the schools hopefully opened up for the regular education. Okay, now I want to look at a little bit or to compare Turkish education system with the others, especially through the OECD exams like design teams. And this is the success rate of Turkey in the 4th grade in terms of math. Turkey is 23rd, and the average score is 523, which locates Turkey 23rd across the OECD countries. This is a huge success for Turks. I mean, like because this is the a change in terms of the math score throughout the years. For example, in 2008, our score was 469. Now it's 523, which is above the OECD average. And here is our biggest problem because, like, when you look at the eastern and western part of the Turkey, there's a huge achievement gap in FIMS. Exam, every 41 point, corresponds to 2 years of education gaps. So when we look at, for example, like this part in the very eastern part of Turkey, the average score is 486. So when we look at, for example, Aegean part in the very west side, it's 551. So the difference is almost like more than 80, is close to 80, I am sorry. That means that the achievement gap difference between the eastern part of the Turkey and the western part of the Turkey is almost 2 years. So there's a 2 years achievement gap between eastern and western part of Turkey, and you can just calculate the achievement gap differences between or across the regions of Turkey. So that's the most problematic part of Turkish education system. I'm sorry, I just missed. Sorry, guys. Excuse me, I had a problem. So sorry, guys. Oh, I'll start in a moment. Sorry. Sorry. So again, like this is the achievement gap across our country. So, and we have another problem with these achievement gap problems across school types. And as I said, like Turkey's education, I mean, especially at the level of higher education, I mean, like high schools, we have like many different types of schools, and these schools are almost founded in accordance with the level of achievement. And for example, like there's a huge difference between the science high schools and the vocational technical schools. And here again, like a table from the teams, 2019 teams, and Turkey is 20th at the level of 8th grade in the math exam. And again, that was good for Turkey, but after many years, we achieved that. So this is very important graph for showing like the resident students number in Turkey. As you can see, the resilient students, which means like students coming from working class or like lower social cultural background, have like a bigger show of like great success in PISA 2018 PISA. So it means that like we have like many resilient students in Turkey. Okay, here is the another table for the academic resilience, and this is percentage of disadvantaged students who scored in the top quarter of reading performance in their own country. So Turkey is right here, and it is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the OECD countries, which means like our disadvantaged students are scoring higher than their counterparts in other OECD countries. I don't know if it is good or bad, like, but it shows us that the level of the resilient students. So we have such a huge population of poor, disadvantaged, but at the same time resilient students in Turkey. This is a comparison of the PISA scores between 2003 and 2018. And here in 2018, we had like 466 average score, but in the highest achievement we had in PISA is in 2012. That's 475. Again, here is the achievement gap across country, especially regional. Same holds true for the PISA exams. There is a huge, at least 2 years of achievement gap between eastern and western part of Turkey. It's not just eastern and western, but also when you look at the upper side in the western Black Sea region, the average score is 483, and it is in the western Marmara, it's 500. So there's also a difference between other regions as well. When it comes to school types, like as I said, we had two big achievement gap problem. First, regional achievement gap problem, and the other one is across school types. So science high schools written here as a fan necessity. Sorry, I couldn't translate them into English, but the average score in science high schools is 583, and the lowest score here in forget this part, but like the multi-program Anatolian high schools, Anatolian imam and preacher high schools, and vocational and technical high schools are the lowest score in these exams. So Anatolian high schools are which are general high schools. I mean the most common type of high schools, 495. Again, like in 2018, the reading skills of students in terms of gender. They're pretty much same. This is not important, but this one is, I think, very important graph, because like this shows us the expenditure of the education across countries and like how it relates to reading skills. And Turkey is okay here, and although the expenditure of education is pretty low in comparison to some other states. Like look at Qatar, it puts a lot of money in education, but still couldn't score higher. Or like Luxembourg or Brunei or Iceland. These are the countries spend a lot of money, but still couldn't get the enough score when in comparison to their investment to education. And the last map may be the again the difference in math performances in 2018 PISA score. Pretty much the same story holds true here as well. And again, like when we look at if it changes according to the school types, no, pretty much same. It doesn't matter like look at their reading performances or math performance. Still science side schools score much higher than the rest of the other school types. The same story here, same story here. And then I want to talk about a little bit this one. Hold on a second, please. Okay, here. We have another issue in Turkey about Syrian students under temporary protection. In Turkey, according to the formal numbers, we have 4.5 million Syrians living in Turkey, Syrian migrants or people under temporary protection status. And as an educators, when we look at this table, the age groups, especially between 0 and 18, is important for educators. So when we sum up these numbers, it is like 1.7 million Syrian kids are in Turkey now, but we know that the number is much higher. Like it should be around like 2.2 or 2.3 million Syrian children between the ages of 0 and 18. That means those kids are like school-age kids, and they have to attend school. And the schooling rate is, I think, not more than 50-something%. I don't have the exact numbers right now, but there is exact numbers. I think in education system, in K-12 system, we have almost 700,000 Syrian kids attending schools across Turkish education system. So that's a huge numbers. That's why I want to talk about it, because the structure of education system also or closely affected by the Syrian students attending our schools. And unfortunately, we have the highest rate of school dropouts in Europe, and we have 33% school dropouts in Spain, 32 in Italy, 28 in France, 17, Sweden 15, and in Britain it's 11%. So that is also our biggest problem in our education system. That is the absenteeism and, more importantly, school dropouts. So this is our education system, and like how it looks like when we compare it with the rest of OECD countries or European countries. I think that's it. That's all I want to say today. If you have any question, I can answer for 5 minutes, then I have to leave. Thank you for listening to me.
Mustafa Hocam,
Evet.
I think you finished.
Yes, I did.
Thanks a lot.
Teşekkür ederiz Sayın Hocam katılımlarınızdan dolayı.
Thank you very much for your participation, and we thank to our professor Mustafa Sever from Ankara University. Thank you very much for listening us, and we thank him for participating and his great asset to our virtual mobility. By the way, we will have 10 minutes break as usual, so please do not turn off your systems, but you can turn off your sound. So 10 minutes later, let's check our clock. It's 2:40, so let's meet at 2:50, 10 minutes. All right, thanks. Türkçe konuşuyorum.
Programımıza ülkelerimizin ulusal marşlarıyla devam ediyoruz.
So, hi everyone again. We will go on our program with the national anthems of the countries. So we will listen to the national anthems of the countries.
Hepsinde kalkarız hocam.
Siz hadi bizden bir tane. Başlat şimdi.
Thank you for participating. Arrivederci. Thank you for participating. Hoşçakalın. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz.
We wish nice, healthy and happy years for you, for all the world. Better years all together, face to face, hand in hand.
Programımız burada sona ermiştir. Katkılarından dolayı Figen öğretmenimize ve Damla öğretmenimize teşekkür ediyoruz.
So our program finished here. We thanks to our Figen teacher and Damla teacher for preparing this beautiful video. Now we can have questions or anything you would like to say. Feel free to ask or to share.
Dur sesini açma izin verin.
Just a minute.
Sesini açabiliriz.
Yes, now your sound is on.
Açabiliriz.
Yes.
You can turn on your sound. So our technician here, our teacher, help us to direct this meeting. So he let you turn on
Nicoletta,
your sound.
Nicoletta, would you like to say something to us?
Yes, I would like you something words. Dear friends, for all countries, for my countries, we went in today the activities of virtual mobility. It was a great challenge for Fatma's team, but also for all of us. Congratulations on all of these successful, interesting, and exciting activities. Good job, Turkish team.
Thank
And
you.
we invite you in Romania, virtual mobility in May. Okay? Have a nice day. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Latvian team, Tate, would you like to say something to us?
Hi, Fatma. Thanks, even from Italy. You are the first one who tried this activity, and you did it in a great way. Thank you very much from all my colleagues, teachers, and from all our students.
Thank you, Giovanni, for participating. It is nice to see you.
Me too. I would have preferred to come to Turkey, but
I hope maybe you will come here.
I hope so. Thanks again for the job.
Thank you. We hope so. I hope you will come here.
Thank you.
Mihaela, would you like to say something to us?
Hello, Fatma, and for your colleague, you are wonderful. I understand now how hard it is for us to develop this online meeting, and I want to say you are great people. And, congratulations, and we'll see you again in May with another activity proposed by us.
I hope.
Thank you so much.
And for Latvian team, Tate or Baiba. Your voice problem, Tate.
We can't hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. That was so great. It's a great job. I admire you. And that was so emotional and touching when we hear all anthems of all countries. And thank you very much. See you maybe in next project, not, but in Romania in May.
I hope so, Baiba. Thank you.
Ben de duygulanıyorum. Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Çok duygulanmış.
Okay. Anybody else would you like to say something for us or for our project?
Yes,
If there is nothing to add, or if there is nobody to add or say something, let's finish the program or the day here. And as far as I know, you go on communicating via WhatsApp. So it was a great pleasure for me to translate from Turkish into English and from English to Turkish. So we say goodbye. Thank you for your participation and bye-bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye bye.